After reconciliation, the ice-cold CEO turned into a clingy guy. Seattle's rainy season is always lengthy, with fine drizzle tapping against the glass curtain wall of Aurora Photography Studio, blurring the Space Needle outside into a hazy silhouette. As I clutched the freshly signed National Geographic collaboration contract, the chill on my fingertips hadn't faded when the studio door swung open. Elias Walker, my ex-husband of 2 years, stood at the entrance. His expensive Italian-tailored suit was soaked through by the rain, yet it couldn't diminish his inherent aura of inapproachability. 2 years ago, we signed the divorce papers at a cliffside cottage in San Francisco. He was the founder of Silicon Valley tech giant Stellar Path, forever consumed by code, product launches, and cross-border meetings, while I was a freelance photographer obsessed with capturing light and shadow. When we divorced, his signature was bold and unrestrained, just like his decisive tone when he said, "Our worlds are too far apart." I moved out of the waterfront villa overlooking San Francisco Bay, using the divided assets to open this small studio in Seattle, completely cutting ties with his elite world ever since. "Layla," he said, his voice deep as a cello, yet carrying a rare hoarseness, "we need to talk." The studio assistants exchanged curious glances secretly. I took a deep breath and tucked the contract into a drawer. "Mr. Walker, there's nothing left for us to discuss." He stepped inside, leaving a trail of wet footprints on the floor. I know I was wrong back then. His gaze swept over my award-winning work on the wall, the series documenting the auroras in Alaska, which he once dismissed as an impractical waste of time. "I shouldn't have left you alone to face your grandmother's illness for a Tokyo launch event. I shouldn't have only sent flowers via my assistant when you had a photography accident, and most of all, I shouldn't have chosen my career when you needed companionship the most." Memories of my grandmother's passing flooded my mind. That cold winter, I stayed by her bedside in a Seattle hospital for 3 whole weeks. Every time I video called him, the response was always in a meeting or rushing a project. Until the night before she passed, I cried and begged him to come see her one last time, but he missed the final farewell because of an urgent financing negotiation. It was that day that my heart completely shattered, and I filed for divorce. "You should have said this 2 years ago," my voice felt dry as I turned to stare at the rainy scene outside. "It's too late now." "It's not too late," he took a step forward, his tone filled with an urgency I'd never heard before. "In these 2 years, I sold the European branch, turned down all non-essential business trips, and even moved the company's core operations to Seattle. Layla, I can change. Please give me another chance." His eyes were filled with pleading, a stark contrast to the indifferent man he once was. I remembered when we first met, he confessed his love to me by Iceland's Blue Lagoon, vowing to always support my photography dreams. I remembered that autumn day in New York's Central Park, when he clumsily carried my camera bag and accompanied me to shoot fallen leaves all afternoon. I remembered on a Hawaiian beach, when he let his guard down for the first time, making funny faces at the camera just to help me get the perfect shot. My heart felt like it was being twisted, a sharp pain spreading through my chest. "I need time to think," I finally relented. In the days that followed, Elias seemed like a completely different person. He showed up at the studio every morning promptly, always holding my favorite blueberry muffins from Seattle's best bakery, and a warm latte. He traded his stiff suits for casual cashmere sweaters and khakis, and even volunteered to organize photography equipment and chat with clients about shooting plans, though most of the time, he was distracted, his gaze glued to me. Once, a difficult client nitpicked at the travel photography package I designed, his words dripping with contempt as he said my work was not commercial enough. I was about to retort when Elias suddenly stepped in front of me, his tone calm yet authoritative. "Sir, the value of photography lies not in catering to the market, but in freezing genuine beauty. If you only pursue commercial interests, perhaps Layla's work isn't for you." The client stormed off in embarrassment. "You didn't have to do that," I said, feeling a mix of emotions as I looked at him. "I just don't want you to be wronged." He raised his hand, gently brushing the dust off my shoulder. The warmth of his fingertips through the fabric sent a shiver down my spine. Under his persistent gentle pursuit, my resolve gradually wavered. 3 months later, by Iceland's Blue Lagoon, where we'd taken our first trip together, he proposed again. This time, there was no expensive diamond ring, only a ring polished from a volcanic rock we'd collected back then. I know no amount of material things can make up for the hurt I caused. He held my hand, his eyes sincere. But I'm willing to spend the rest of my life making amends, one day at a time. Tears filled my eyes as I nodded, agreeing to reconcile with him. I'd imagined a warm and sweet life after reconciliation, but never in my wildest dreams did I expect the once ice-cold CEO, who'd kept even hugs at a distance, to turn into an outright clingy guy. He moved into my small apartment, claiming it was to take better care of me. From that day on, my life was completely permeated by him. Every morning, I wasn't woken by my alarm, but by his tight embrace. He'd rest his chin on top of my head, calling my name over and over until I opened my eyes, then kiss my forehead contentedly before heading to make breakfast. "Elias, I'm going to be late." I struggled to climb out of his arms, trying to push him away. "Just 5 more minutes," he tightened his grip, holding me closer. "Only 5 minutes, Layla. I haven't held you enough." His chin pressed against my neck, his warm breath fanning my ear, carrying a faint cedar scent. I sighed helplessly, letting him hold me. As it turned out, that 5 minutes stretched into 20, and I arrived at the studio just in time, with the assistants already waiting at the door, their faces wearing knowing smiles. What made me laugh and cry even more was that he started interfering in my work. Once, he'd never cared about my photography career, but now, whenever a male client came to consult, he'd drop everything and stand by my side, like a vigilant lion, refusing to leave me for a moment. Once, my old friend Pierre, a French photographer, came to Seattle for an exhibition and stopped by my studio to visit. We hadn't seen each other in years, so we chatted animatedly, and Pierre even gave me a playful hug. Little did I know, Elias had just arrived with lunch and witnessed the whole scene. His smile vanished instantly, he set down the lunch box and walked straight over, pulling me behind him without a word, and gave Pierre a standard business smile. "Mr. Pierre, long time no see." Pierre was a straightforward man, and he saw through Elias's jealousy immediately, teasing with a laugh, "Elias, when did you become so clingy? You never even had time to attend Layla's photography exhibitions before." Elias's face turned slightly pink, but he still held my hand stubbornly. "Layla is my wife. Of course, I need to protect her well." I was both annoyed and amused, tugging at his sleeve. "Elias, Pierre is my good friend. Don't be like this. Even good friends aren't allowed." He looked down at me, his eyes filled with a hint of grievance. "I don't want to see you getting so close to other men." For the rest of the afternoon, Elias was in a bad mood. No matter how I explained, he just did and continued to cling to me, handing me water, peeling oranges for me, declaring his sovereignty with his actions. The true taste of his extreme jealousy came during the preparation for the joint photography exhibition at the Seattle Art Museum. I was invited to collaborate with the renowned wildlife photographer Noah King on a series about endangered species. Noah was not only talented but also gentle and humorous, and we worked together seamlessly. To meet the deadline, we worked overtime at the studio until late every night for a week. Elias came to pick me up after work every day. At first, he just sat quietly reading documents, but gradually, his jealousy became more and more obvious. Once, as Noah was explaining a shooting composition to me, he leaned close to my ear, pointing at the display screen to analyze the details carefully. I was listening intently, not noticing that Elias's face behind me had darkened to the point of dripping. Suddenly, he slammed his document shut, stood up, and walked over, pulling me to his side roughly, his tone icy. "It's getting late, Layla. Time to go home." Noah was stunned for a moment, then smiled in understanding. "Mr. Walker, we just have a few final details to confirm." "Confirm them tomorrow." Elias picked up my coat without hesitation, putting it on me forcefully. "Layla needs rest. She can't stay up late." I apologized awkwardly to Noah. "I'm sorry, Noah. We'll continue tomorrow." Noah nodded with a smile. "No problem. You've really been working hard." On the way home, Elias kept a tight frown, saying nothing. His fingers gripping the steering wheel were white from exertion. Elias, are you jealous again? I couldn't help but ask. He glanced at me, his eyes filled with resentment. He was too close to you. We were just discussing work, I explained. Do you need to lean in and whisper to discuss work? He raised his voice. The way he looked at you wasn't just as a colleague. Can you stop being so unreasonable? I got angry too. Noah is a well-known photographer in the industry. It's an honor to collaborate with him. I don't want your jealousy to affect my work. Unreasonable, he slammed on the brakes, stopping the car by the side of the road. Layla, I just care about you. The thought of you being alone with another man until midnight drives me crazy. His eyes were red, his tone filled with a hint of desperation. 2 years ago, I lost you because I didn't care enough. Now I can't take any more risks. I'm afraid you'll be taken away from me again. Looking at his painful and helpless expression, my anger disappeared instantly. I reached out and took his hand gently. Elias, I won't be taken away. I chose to reconcile with you because I love you and trust you. But you can't limit my work and social life because of your own insecurities. He squeezed my hand tightly, his voice choking. I know, but I can't help it. Every time I see another man being nice to you, I get so jealous I could go crazy. I sighed, leaning closer to kiss him on the forehead. Silly. You're the one I love the most. From now on, I'll be more careful with my boundaries and keep you updated on my schedule, so you don't have to worry anymore. Okay. He looked at me, his eyes softening, then nodded vigorously, pulling me into a tight hug. Thank you, Layla. This jealousy incident brought us closer, but his clinginess didn't ease up. When I went to Yellowstone National Park to shoot wildlife, he insisted on coming along, claiming it was to investigate the outdoor tech market. In reality, he followed me everywhere, even waiting outside the bathroom when I went in. When I had afternoon tea with my female assistant, he'd find an excuse to join us, sitting next to me, occasionally picking snacks for me, his eyes never leaving me. Even when I edited photos at home late at night, he'd sit on the sofa next to me, not saying a word, just watching me quietly until I finished. His clinginess made me feel suffocated. The companionship I'd once longed for had now become a burden. I started to miss my former independent self, the Elias who, though cold, respected my space. The conflict finally erupted at the dinner party of the Seattle International Photography Festival, an annual event in the photography industry. I dressed up carefully, ready to discuss collaborations with several important magazine editors. Elias insisted on coming with me, and I couldn't refuse. At the dinner party, I was chatting happily with a senior editor from National Geographic when Elias suddenly walked over, interrupting our conversation. Layla, I'm not feeling well. Can we leave early? I was stunned. Looking at his flushed face, he clearly wasn't unwell. Elias, I'm in the middle of an important discussion. Can you wait a little longer? No, I want to go home. He pulled my hand, his tone tinged with coquetry. I don't like this environment. I just want to be with you. Everyone around us looked over, and the editor's face showed an awkward smile. I felt humiliated, yanking my hand away forcefully. Elias, can you grow up? This is a work event, not our personal space. He was shocked by my sudden outburst, his eyes filled with hurt. Layla, I just want to be with you. I need my own space. I raised my voice. You were never like this before. Why have you become so unreasonable? With that, I turned and left, leaving Elias standing there alone, his face pale. I stayed in the corner of the dinner party terrace for a long time. The evening breeze brushed through my hair, calming me down. I thought about all the changes Elias had made since our reconciliation. He remembered all my preferences, took meticulous care of me when I stayed up late shooting, turned down hundreds of millions of dollar projects to accompany me, and felt sad all day when I was unhappy. His clinginess actually stemmed from insecurity, from his fear of losing me again. But I really couldn't stand such boundaryless companionship. I dialed Elias's phone. It rang for a long time before he answered, his voice hoarse. "Layla, where are you?" "I'm on the terrace," I said. "We need to talk." A few minutes later, Elias appeared on the terrace. His eyes were red, clearly from crying. "I'm sorry, Layla," he walked up to me, his tone filled with deep remorse. "I shouldn't have interrupted you at the dinner party, shouldn't have been so willful. I was so afraid of losing you." His words felt like a needle piercing my heart. "Elias, I know you care about me," I looked at him, my tone softening. "But your way of showing it makes me feel suffocated. I need my own space, time to work independently, just like you once needed to focus on your career. I'm just so scared." He held my hand, his voice trembling. "2 years ago, I lost you because I neglected you. For these 2 years, I've regretted it every single day. After we reconciled, I always worried that if I let go even for a moment, you'd leave me again. So I wanted to be with you every second to make sure you were still there." Looking at the fear and insecurity in his eyes, my heart softened. I knew his clinginess wasn't intentional, it was a shadow left by past hurts. "Elias," I hugged him gently. "I won't leave you again. But we both need our own space. Love isn't possession, it's mutual respect and support." He hugged me tightly, resting his chin on top of my head, his voice choking. "I understand, Layla. I'll change. I'll learn to give you space, won't be so clingy anymore." That night, we talked for a long time. We recalled the sweetness and pain of the past, and frankly shared our thoughts and insecurities. Elias promised to learn to trust me and respect my space, while I promised to spend more time with him, letting him feel my love and commitment. After that, Elias really changed a lot. He no longer clung to me every second, giving me enough time and space for work and respecting my social life. But his love didn't diminish, he just expressed it in a more mature way. When I traveled out of town for shoots, he'd book my flights and hotels in advance, video call me every night to tell me about his day, and listen patiently as I shared stories about shooting auroras. When I stayed up late editing photos, he'd quietly prepare snacks and warm water for me, then work in the study without disturbing me. On weekends, he'd take me to relax in small towns around Seattle, picking blueberries together, reliving the sweetness of our past. Once, I went to Norway to shoot the auroras, staying for 10 days. Before I left, Elias helped my favorite warm clothes, arranging spare camera batteries, and tucking a bottle of my favorite lavender essential oil, and a photo of him into the suitcase. "Remember to let me know when you arrive in Norway," he hugged me, his tone full of reluctance. "Video call me every day. Don't skip it." "I know, you clingy guy," I smiled, pinching his cheek. During my time in Norway, we video called every day. He told me about the weather in Seattle, what he'd done that day, and listened patiently to my stories about chasing the auroras. One day, when I returned to the hotel after shooting, I found a bunch of bright white hyacinths and a card with his familiar handwriting, "Layla, I miss you." Hyacinths represent unwavering love, just like my love for you. My heart felt warm. I realized that the best love isn't boundless clinginess, but the sweetness of companionship combined with the respect for boundaries. 10 days later, I returned to Seattle. As soon as I walked out of the airport, I saw Elias standing at the exit, holding a bunch of sunflowers, my favorite flower. When he saw me, his eyes lit up like stars. He walked over quickly and gave me a big hug. "Welcome home, Layla," he whispered in my ear, his voice full of longing. "I'm home," I hugged him back, feeling his warm embrace, my heart filled with happiness. We walked out of the airport together, with the sun shining warmly on us. Elias,